Okay, you're going to be seeing a different mess than usual today because it's tax season, and so I can't really, a lot of this is paperwork that I have to organize. But anyway, another KNK Force update using a handheld camera because this camera does not believe in having a good battery. I can see why it failed. First off, it's been a little while since I got to use the KNK Force, various things, being sick, as usual, work. But it got hauled out again because I have to print some stuff for an author of mine that is going to his very first show in a month and a half. And finally figured out why this KNK Force does not work right. So first let me show you some changes. I managed to get these guides. The gentleman 3D prints them himself and sells them on Amazon. I ended up having to give them a 3-star rating because the little screw right here, alright, is just too short. And it's a struggle to install them, and it's a struggle to get them to stay, actually. I had to take the screw out and look at it and do some things to get it to where the screw would actually go in. And even then, they're not quite in. If I want it to hold, I've got to screw it down really, really tight, which it won't slide. You got to give it that. But if I want to move it, let's say that I want to use a smaller mat, and yes, there are times I may want to do that. Surprise, surprise. I have to loosen it, and because the screw is so short, this means it loses its spot because there's a little itty bitty bit in there that it screws into inside this groove, and it's a really big pain to get it go back into the little thing. So the screw could stand to be a little bit longer, and it came with some pin holders, which they are in here. And these are, pretty cool. Oops. I unscrewed the red one thinking, okay, I will calibrate it because I want to get some Sharpies going on in here, and found out that it had a spring inside and was not for Sharpies at all, which that's my fault. Probably should have read the description better. But I was disappointed. Now, I don't know if there are... there's a spring in there, you can't see it. Adapters for Sharpies and markers, but I really wish there was. I used to have one for my black cat that I was tricked into buying, and it had a screw in the side to hold the item in place, and that was pretty good, but I don't know where it went. Otherwise I would use it and calibrate the machine for that, because it would fit into that slot quite well. So my mat should not be slipping, right guys? Well, let me show you something else. Well, I'm gonna have to just show you messes, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but here, I might have done a film about it already, actually. This bar that these guys slide on, it's bent. Now, because these guys still slide back and forth, I thought, okay, it's okay. They can still slide, they'll still close, but that has turned out to be a really big flaw with my machine. And this means that until I have a machine that works straight, I can never really truly give a good review. I can only review this machine, which, by the way, would get maybe 1 star. But the company has got a lot of good people. It really does. The people are really good. They will find out, my problem is that we waited too long because of the whole me being sick and stuff, fighting to be able to look at, to look at the KNK Force, for me to be able to say, hey, there's something wrong. So as nice as it would be for them to replace my machine, and I'm going to say something because, I need this machine for work, and we went into debt to get it, and we're still paying on it technically. But I'm not holding my breath. Another problem that I really, really intensely dislike, I really intensely dislike this next problem, is that it does not seem to remember its calibration. If I unplug it, which I have had to do because I did some computer work recently, it loses its IP address, and I'm guessing that means that it loses its calibration. So I'm in here with numbers that I've saved, plugging them back in, being really annoyed that I have to do that again. I've got the camera right here, and I do not remember how to set this part. And the thought of opening that ponderous biblical novel of their manual to find out really intensely annoys me. I mean, it seriously annoys me that I have to do that again. But in order for it to cut right, I have to get these two in because it's once again not cutting things the right size. I am so fucking annoyed by this. It's just, oh my God, am I annoyed by this that I have to go through this again. Seriously, I can't even express how annoyed I am. So I'm not going to bother because I don't know how, and it doesn't make a difference anyway because of the problem. And the problem is that bent bar. You see, these rollers are supposed to be set a certain way, and they're not anymore because I was doing my best to stop the problem and it wasn't working. Because this bar, this side of the bar is a little higher than this side, the rollers are not putting down an even strength on the mat. So what's happening is the mat's getting pulled. And even with the guides, the mat still gets pulled and I'm not able to get a good cut. And it's just incredibly frustrating. So I'm going to have to set this down. You can just like, nice little view there of my fingers while I put this mat in. And I'm only I've only put down 2 of the rollers. I hope the camera can focus again. It doesn't like to do that. I've only put down 2 of the rollers. I'm ignoring this one and leaving it up. But I have noticed that when you put that one down, no matter what side, it makes the problem worse. The problem, actually, I put it on that side thinking, well, it'll help with the pressure, and it did kinda, but the mat still slid. When it's just like this with only the 2 rollers, the mat will slide that way because this roller is pulling. When all of the rollers are down, the mat slides that way just a fraction. Not as bad. But I'm going to tell this to go because there's no point in continuing. You guys know the routine. I am setting the camera. Now, with the last update I got, I have to say there was an improvement with the camera because the camera used to like not dump its cache and refuse to let go of the last picture. So I have to say that there is that. I might have mentioned it before. It is a little slow, I know. But hey, got my first mark. A lot easier than it was before when I first started with this, so that is a plus. We need sound effects. Blink or some sort of music, maybe some acid metal. I don't know. You know, maybe Flight of the Valkyries. Okay, come on, little camera. You can do this. Now, what you're seeing here is a file where it is just basically some simple bookmarks, okay? I'm supposed to be making coupons for my author, but I did something quick and easy as I was trying to figure it out. Now, I'm ready to tell it to cut. Now I've got it set. The paper, in case you need to know, is a laminated piece of thin cardstock that you would run through a printer. I did it because I'm gonna laminate, and being able to cut when it's already laminated is a big plus to me. So I was seeing if the cutter could do it instantly. The cutter cut through it very well without making the lamination fray. It was great. I was very pleased with that. So I'm going to tell it to cut now. And hope, because, yeah. It's already pulling right here. Now it's pushing on this side because it's pulling, and this side's loose. Now, I forgot to show it to you before I thing, but the mat has been pulled. Now it's not as bad now that I have the guides, but it's still enough to make a big difference. I'm gonna have to consider hand cutting a couple of 100 coupons and things because of this today. I want to cry. I could show you further cuts, but I've done enough and I don't care, you know, anymore to keep fighting this. It's not worth it. If I had to rate this and give this machine a rating based on what I have, I would not be able to give you guys a good recommendation because of the fact that there's nothing you can do about the pulling. I mean, there is literally nothing you can do about the pulling short of redesigning, and I do have a design in my head actually of how the mat runs. The bar is the problem, and when you've got faulty equipment, you know, I don't know if you guys find it hilarious or as interesting as I do that I seem to come with the faulty equipment. The faulty equipment seems to come to my house. If there is a problem, I am the person you want to send things to, apparently. Maybe it's my mailman. Maybe he's like taking my packages apart and beating them with a hammer because he's jealous that I work at home and he doesn't. I don't know. But I'm disappointed. Now, if you want to know about what I do to further keep the lamination from fraying, is now that it's cut, I will actually go to the other room and run these through my laminator again, and I have a heat laminator. And my method of doing this seems to work, just so you know. So now I have a book. I mean, it looks nice. You know, I will put a tassel and an eyelet right here and give it away at one of my next shows because I like to have giveaways, and bookmarks are pretty cool to give away. And this is, yes, my own artwork. If the camera would focus, it does not believe in focusing. It's like, fuck you. Give it something else to focus on. It says fuck you. There it goes. Yeah, that's my own artwork. It's a little Valentine I drew once just because I felt like drawing a Valentine, and it's gonna stay fuzzy. I hate this particular camera. Yeah. Yeah. Please focus. You're annoying me, camera. Focus. So let me go ahead and give you my rundown of the entire package. If you get a KNK Force without a broken bar or a bent bar, then I can say that you've got a good machine. It seems to cut pretty good. It cuts through some really thick shrinky ink paper. I haven't tried it on my plastic yet, but the plastic that I used for one particular style of charm is easier to cut through than shrinky ink paper, so I'm sure the machine would be able to do it. I tried the dual machine once, the dual tool to do pencil and thing, and that was pretty nice. And I actually had plans in my head of using a pen on both sides to be able to draw some shrinky-dink patterns without printing them in a printer, because I wanted to see, but I cannot do that with this machine the way it is now. The mat guides are an independent thing, and it was like 15 bucks for the mat guide kit that I saw, and it would be a good kit if it weren't for the problems that I listed. The company is run by some really, really wonderful people that care a lot. If you're happy, you can join their Facebook forum. They will talk to you. They will answer your questions. I've seen them jump in to help on hours when they really should have been home having dinner with their kids or whatever. So the company gets a lot of good stars. The machine is clean. It held well together. As you may recall, my Pazzles broke day one just getting it out of the box. The only thing is with that is the bits that the magnet system that holds this down has decided to come out. Now I'm going to fix that. I'm not worried about that enough to freak out. I'm going to put that back together, but and I love these compartments. They're pretty awesome. It's easy to clean. It just wipes right down. I like that. The mat, well, you guys know how I feel about a mat system. My mat didn't come sticky enough, but it was also one of the first mats, and I've heard reports from people that the mat comes too sticky now, so possibly the mat comes stickified how it's supposed to be. But the truth is, the mat coming not sticky enough is perfect for me personally, because I will restick and set my mat to how I want it and make it work how I want it, you know. So that worked out pretty good. The blade seems to have held up well through the various cuts I have tried. I have had some blades that got dull within 2-3 cuts and just drove me crazy. It's an easy system to work. It works really good with sure cuts a lot 4, which I am very fond of. The 3 big downsides is their crazy manual. No, really? And my bit bar. And the fact that it doesn't like to hold its calibration, which is fucking annoying. Now, the way to get around the calibration was recommended to me by the company, actually, and I keep the settings here in a notepad thing on my desktop so that if my computer ever crashes, I'm SOL, so I'll probably, now that I'm thinking about it, make a backup and put it on one of my external hard drives, because I don't like that. And so I probably would have given this machine 4 stars. I have to knock off a star because of the stupid manual and the calibration problem. But I can't because of the bent bar. And I can only give you the impressions I am given from what I have worked with. And I don't know if it truly is as wonderful as the impression it tries really hard to put out. So that's my final thoughts on this, because I can go no further. I have no way to keep my mat from slipping. And I'm in hot water today because I have to work and I can't. So, okay. Onward to, I don't know, destiny or something. Bye-bye.